Welcome to a nourishing midweek lunch hour conversation with Spokane's newsmakers, thought leaders, and popular entertainers. Spokane Talks Live is brought to you by our friends at Homes for You and Breakthrough Incorporated. Welcome to Spokane Talks Live.
Welcome to Spokane Talks Live. Here we are, one of the last Wednesdays in December. Actually, the last Wednesday, we're going to do a live show because we're going to take the Christmas week off next week. Hey, got a great lineup today. Really top-notch people. Todd Milkey from GSI is going to be here. Craig, our police chief, is sitting here. He's going to be on first. We're going to catch up on what's going on in Spokane and all the great things. I'm going to give him a bad time about being endorsed a bit by Sean Vestal. But anyway, we're going to have fun. Tom Johnson, who is the current and outgoing president of STCU, the fourth in their lifetime, and Ezra Eckhart, who is the incoming president of STCU, the fifth ever, is going to. They're both going to be here to talk with us. Actually, they're staying after the program to do a business talks program as well. All of this next on Spokane Talks Live.
Jesus Christ. Two names that are two words. Many folks don't realize that the name of the Christ child has meaning. It's not just his first name and his last name. The word Jesus is in fact the Latin form of the word Yeshua, or Joshua, meaning Jehovah is salvation. The word Christ comes from the Greek word Christos, meaning anointed one or chosen one. The Apostle Luke tells us in Acts that God announced beforehand by the mouth of all the prophets that his Christ, the chosen one, would suffer. When the days drew near for Jesus to be crucified, Luke also tells us in his gospel that Jesus set his face to go to Jerusalem. He knew ahead of time that he was born to die, and he determined, or he set his face to fulfill God's calling. This babe wasn't just born to live a sinless life and to suffer and die for my wrongdoing and for yours. In fact, he predetermined before the foundations of the world to come to earth and to die for mankind. This was God's plan all along. God knew that after creating man, we would rebel against him and we would need a rescuer or a hero, someone to come and save us from ourselves. And that hero is Jesus Christ, God who became a man to save the world. Consider choosing Jesus Christ. He is God's Christmas gift to you and I, and have a Merry Christmas.
For the Inland Northwest's most comprehensive sports report, think outside the porch with Spokesman.com. For just 99 cents for the first month, you'll enjoy unlimited digital access to the news and sports news that affect you most. From EWU to WSU, from Northwest Preps all the way to the Seahawks, we're the local authority that makes sports in the Inland Northwest different than the rest, better than the rest. On your phone, on your desktop, and on your tablet. Subscribe to the digital experience with Spokesman.com.
I'm Lexi Dyson. I am an archaeological technician for the Tahoe National Forest in California. Archaeology is perfect for me. It kind of combines all of my loves: history, my love of culture, my love of arts and science. As a girl, you don't really get told that science is for you. Like when you look on TV, you always see men in lab coats. I was a freshman at North Central. Randy James was one of my biggest cheerleaders. Randy was one of the first people who told me that you are good at this, you can do this. His favorite phrase that he would say to us that really stuck with me is, Yedo, you are the ones. We're the ones who are going to make the difference. We're the ones who are going to make the change. You really start thinking, oh my gosh, yeah, we are. I am the one that's going to do this. The work we're doing in Tahoe definitely is going to be here for good. Our purpose here is to preserve things and to make them last, to be here for good, for those future generations to enjoy. I love the variety of it and being able to see things that nobody else really gets to see, and having that touch of history and connection to people in the past. I am helping people by preserving their own heritage, their own resources. One of the things I love about STCU is using the STCU mobile app, no matter where I go. It could be here in Tahoe National Forest, I could be back home, or it could be clear away across the country. I've been so impressed by their willingness to help and just be there where I need them to be, basically. It gives me a sense of home, even though I could be 3,000 miles away, 6,000 miles away, which I have done with STCU, and I've never looked back. I'm Lexi Dyson, and STCU is here for good.
See you tomorrow night, and thanks again for taking care of the painting.
I got this.
Bye.
Weekends are made for painting. Let the experts at Rada Paint take care of you.
Hi. This looks amazing.
Rada Paint, over 80 years of quality, tradition, and trust. Find it in every can.
Welcome back to Spokane Talks Live. It's the 20th of December. And as I mentioned before, our last December live program, because we'll be back on the 3rd, I guess it is, of January. And then as we move into later in January, we're actually going to be doing this program 3 days a week. So a lot of fun and exciting things coming. And I might also mention that the editor of the Spokane Coeur d'Alene Living magazine is going to, Stephanie Regalado is going to host a She Says program, a program on women. We have Justin Reed, who is a staff writer over at the Spokesman Review, who's going to do a weekly program on youth sports and our up all the way up to college and universities in our area. And we're going to kick off in January, probably about the middle of January, a program on downtown Spokane partnership and all the good things that are going on downtown. And speaking of downtown, because that's a good part of the Spokane Police Department, Craig Meidel.
Perfect.
Oh,
yep,
close.
I go by either.
Okay. Hey, you, Kent.
Yeah.
Okay. Police Chief, welcome. And Merry Christmas to you, because it's almost that time, isn't
Thank you.
it?
Merry Christmas to you as well.
Do you have all the presents?
No, I've got a good start on it, though.
Okay.
Thankfully, my wife shops for the kids. I just have to shop for her.
Yeah, well, that's Sunday, right?
That's yes, Sunday night.
That's the day for us.
Yeah.
And I was amazed years ago. I went to Northtown Mall to get something, and I'm thinking, they don't open earlier for us guys, because this is our day. Come on.
It absolutely is.
Not until 10 o'clock. I'm going, what's with that? Anyway, hey, you just got appointed to the Washington Association, a mouthful here, Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs Executive Board. Congratulations. That's good for you and good for Spokane, isn't it?
Thank you. Yeah, it sure is. I'd like to say I got the position because I'm, completely awesome. But the reality of it is,
that's not what they said here.
No, it's
I'm
not.
kidding.
Yeah, and that's not why I got it for sure. One of the things that Spokane has not been as involved statewide with the WASPIC, which is the shortened version of Washington State Sheriffs and Police
You have
Chiefs
to be
Association.
careful how you say that, don't you?
You do, yeah. So we haven't been as involved. So they were really excited to get some agencies from the east side of the state involved as well. So for the Spokane area, it really allows us to have a voice at more of the state level when it comes to legislation. and those types of things.
Yes. Because what they do in Olympia and on the wet side of the state affects us, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It absolutely does. And I know, again, agree or disagree, some folks feel like maybe Eastern Washington isn't as well represented. But having said that, this will at least let us have a voice at the table of our concerns for this side. Good.
Hey, one of the other things, and then we'll just talk about all kinds of stuff, is my good friend, Sean Vestal. Once in a while, we agree on things. Actually, I'm really worried about him because in the last couple months, I've actually agreed on a couple of things that he said, including much about you and your being police chief, has defied the fears of his critics. Were there critics? There always
one
are.
or two.
Yeah,
Yes.
always out there to become a model leader. How did you feel about that? Seeing that?
I thought it was great. We actually had a great conversation the week prior, and one of the things that I really appreciate about Sean is he comes in with a certain set of views, which is based on the information he has. But one of the things I really appreciated was he's willing to listen to the other perspective, and he keeps an open mind. He's willing to be flexible, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah. Well, and I think, too, to sit down with you and have an open conversation, because I'm sure he learned some things, and you probably learned some things from him as well. Yeah. And that brought up what we were talking about when you came in a little earlier, and that is that we don't always have to agree with those who we don't agree with, but to be civil about it and to have an honest conversation. And I think we need, as a society, to do more of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. One of the things I talked to him about was, is it possible that two intelligent or reasonably intelligent people can look at the exact same incident and come away with completely different conclusions, but both be accurate? Yeah. And I think we'd all agree with that. And it doesn't mean, this person's bad or evil because they have a different opinion. It's just a different opinion.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's going on with the police department? You've had an interesting year or so.
Yeah.
And how's it going?
Is that all it's been, is a year? Are you sure it hasn't been 7 or 8? So, we've got a lot of great stuff going on. Right now, we're looking at our use of force policies Department of Justice Cops Collaborative Reform was here, and they focused on our use of force policies. But having said that, I feel they're already outdated. I've been noticing for the last year some of the agencies that are on the leading edge of training and policies have started to take a look at their use of force policies. So the ombudsman approached me and said, hey, what do you think about changing some of our use of force policy? I said, you know what, I'm thinking the same thing, Bart, let's do it. So we're putting together a committee. We actually have a group together. We're going to seek input from the community as well.
Good.
And really what it's going to be doing is it's going to be looking at our tactics. We already do these tactics, but let's memorialize them. We train to our policy. And if we don't have these specific tactics in our policy, it's easy to get sidetracked in other areas. So we're talking about create time, distance, cover, de-escalation, disengagement, less lethal tools. Because I'll tell you, if you talk to officers, and even from my own experience, you know, people are not cooperating more these days. And in fact, I'd say it's getting worse. But that doesn't mean let's go in and keep the same tactics or go in heavy-handed. How can we revise our tactics so that we don't have to use force, but the end result is the exact same?
I'm going to ask two questions that kind of hit me a little bit because I live on the South Hill. One is an incident just the other day. I don't remember what day it was. Might have been Saturday. My wife and I are heading out on 29th toward Lincoln Heights, and there are a couple of police cars there blocking the throughway, if you will, because of ice out there. Does that frustrate you that you have to have your officers doing that when the city should have been there and putting sand down or something?
No, you know, since...
Because as a citizen, I worry about, okay, those guys could have been out, or guys or gals, could have been out doing something else. And I know we all don't have enough staff.
Yeah,
okay?
Absolutely. No, I think what you'll find, especially with law enforcement, in the fire department to a lesser extent, is we are one of the few, if not the only, divisions on 24/7.
Okay.
So there's a lot of things that we do just because we have staff on duty, and when it comes to blocking the roads because of the visibility of the vehicles, it's usually something that's a stopgap until they can get the icing or sanding trucks there. So we've been doing that ever since I've been here. It's just part of the role. I think every community asks that their law enforcement step in, and in the end, if it keeps the community safer and it keeps them from crashing into each other there for a half hour until we get the de-icer there, that's okay by us. Because otherwise we're going to go there and take collisions anyway. So
I guess that's true.
They may be tied up
regardless. Might be fewer reports to write up, right?
Yes.
Right? One of the other things, and it's a little lower on the South Hill and a little west, was last night. Mm-hmm. And what went on last night. And, you know, I get these push notices out from other radio and TV stations and so forth. And I always worry when I see that you're sending your officers in harm's way when you're looking for somebody who has obviously shot two people.
Yeah, absolutely.
What goes through your mind as you get that report and you hear about that? Because you're sitting in the chief's office probably going, oh, no.
That's actually that's correct. Yesterday, I was notified there was a shooting with one victim that was deceased and one that was critical.
Right.
So I turned to my portable, and I'm listening to our K-9 units. We had, at one point, 4 K-9 units trying to track the suspect.
Yes.
We had multiple officers from the north side, south side. We had Air 1 from the sheriff's office looking. I mean, we just, you know, you worry because it's dark outside. Yes. And one of the things we teach our officers is action always beats reaction. So even if you do find the suspect, you're reacting to what they do. So you're always at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
And when you hear them going out through the wooded areas and through the neighborhoods, you always worry. I always worry, what's going to happen if they do find this person in front of me? You just pray that everything goes safely.
Well, and not only for the officers, but for people living in the homes that hopefully have gotten the word that they're hunkering down and so forth, locking their doors, that sort of thing. I mean, the first thing I did, even though it was a distance, is I went to our front door to make sure the front door was locked. Okay.
I agree. I'm still amazed, even in today's age, how many people still leave their front door unlocked.
Yeah.
You know, and they just, again, I don't think there's anything other than they just space it.
Yeah.
But they leave their garage door unlocked, or I'll go for walks in my neighborhood at night. It'll be midnight. There's still garage doors open.
Oh,
so it's just, I don't think people necessarily are as cognizant of the threats as some of us are.
Yeah, and we need to be. And the reason the door was open was my wife was out front feeding the neighborhood cats who think they live on our front porch. And actually, if you look at the cats, how they've grown, they do live on our front porch. But I said, you know, it's time to come in here. We want to lock the door. Even though it was this distance, but, you know, honestly didn't know if they were driving and needed to get out of a car, if they were being chased. You just don't know. And I think we need to be proactive in those kinds of things as citizens. And fewer people on the street means that our police can feel a little more comfortable about who's out there, because the bad person is probably going to be the one still out there.
Absolutely, I agree. In a quick story, just before I was hired, we had a couple guys wanted. The pursuit started in Stevens County, and what these two suspects did is a guy was out washing his car in his driveway, and they took him at gunpoint, made him go inside, get the keys, and then he ended up resisting and getting shot. He survived, but they ended up stealing his car. So it's exactly, I will tell you, we even have in this region that has happened, where people are just out enjoying the day, totally oblivious, and next thing you know, something like that happens. So again, you don't want to be paranoid, but it's at least good to be aware of those things.
So one last question: where are we in terms of, are we going to get more police officers? Is that in the budget? I just don't remember all these things, and obviously you're on top of that.
Yeah, so we're slated to get 10 more officers in 2018. We'll send 10 through the academy in February. Those officers they won't really be counted as staffing for about a year. The academy's 4.5 months, the post academy's 3 months, FTO car is about 4.5 months. So it really won't be until winter 2019. Or 2019 until we can actually count them.
Right.
So, and then we're just gonna plug some gaps on patrol. And
how are you doing on retaining police officers? Because I mean, frankly, it's a very dangerous job, oftentimes very thankless job, and we don't thank our men and women in uniform, meaning our local first responders as well. But how are you doing? Are they staying? Are they?
They are. So we're lucky as an agency. If you nationwide, if you look, there are agencies that can't fill their vacancies.
Really?
They have dozens, and some even have 100 or more vacancies
Probably
they can't
in some
fill.
of the larger communities too.
They really do. Yeah. We don't have that problem.
Good.
We actually have waiting lists, especially on our lateral list. Folks who want to come from other agencies.
Okay.
We have a very rich lateral list that we didn't tap into because we're doing new hires. But next year, we're going to start working on that lateral list. But we do not have an officer shortage.
Good.
Officers are coming, they're staying, and I think it's a testament to the community.
Yeah.
And the officers, I think the city takes good care of the officers as well.
Well, great. Well, Craig, thank you for all you do. Yeah. You're going to come back often and keep us up to date, right?
That sounds
so
good.
I don't have to keep reading the paper and watching TV and all that, right?
Absolutely.
Merry Christmas to you and your wife.
Merry Christmas.
And to all of your officers for what they do to keep us safe.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with Todd Milkey to talk about what's going on in Spokane with GSI.
This is River Ridge Frame Shop, called Frame It Today, where we can take your art, customize it, and get it ready to hang on the wall.
Welcome to Tom Sawyer Country Coffee.
Tom Sawyer Country Coffee only roasts the finest organic coffee for our signature blends. Enjoy a cup at our coffee shop and local businesses and organizations across the region.
I'm Tom Sawyer, and we choose the Pacific Northwest.
Last year alone, Avista customers saved over 53 million kilowatt hours of energy. Enough to power more than 4,000 homes for an entire year. Way to save, everyone. Way to save. Find your way to save at avistautilities.com.
What? You haven't been to the library lately? Stop in today and see that the library is more than books. Spokane County Library District facilities feature on-site technology, including Wi-Fi, computers, and printers, as well as free use of meeting rooms. The Library District offers events and programs for all ages, from story times to career development and employer classes to Social Security workshops. Our staff is well trained and happy to help. Find out more about your library at scld.org. Welcome back to Spokane Talks Live. It's Wednesday the 20th. And Todd Milkey from GSI, otherwise known as Greater Spokane Incorporated.
Indeed.
Whew. Okay, I got that out. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Are you going to take some time off?
Eventually.
Yeah, with the states getting ready to call session here, in a few weeks, and
yes, coming soon.
and dealing with the city council and everything else. I know it's just a life of luxury, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It is, absolutely.
What's going on at GSI?
So lots of things going on.
Yeah.
First of all, as you mentioned, the legislative session is about
Yeah.
to kick off and get underway the second week of January. So we just finished our legislative reception and forum.
Yes.
We had legislators here talking about what they anticipate coming up.
Okay.
We have our community-wide Olympia fly-in that we do
Oh,
every
okay.
year. So coming up January 17th and 18th. Anyone interested in signing up, there's still some slots available.
Okay, good to
go. But
Do
this
you
one's-
actually take a plane over, or is you just have on a regular flight?
people arrange their flights. We all meet there. There's
okay.
a charter bus that takes from SeaTac down to Olympia.
Okay.
So we're there for
So
a
the
couple
hard
of
part
days.
is covered in terms of getting to and from airport over
Correct.
there. Yeah.
Correct. But this is really important in that it's for communities to be effective in the legislative process. We have to present kind of a consolidated consensus
Yeah.
legislative agenda.
Yes.
Otherwise,
But it's worked the last few years,
It
hasn't
has.
it, for the most part?
As a former state legislator, I'll tell you, when you have everybody come to you, even from your own community, and tell you that they have a different priority for the entire region,
Yes.
it's hard for even local legislators to sort it out.
You're trying to balance
Right.
all the balls, aren't you?
So, but what happens is for legislators outside the area, you give them a perfect excuse to say no.
Yeah.
Because obviously the community needs a lot more dialogue to figure out
Yeah,
what's
yeah,
important.
yeah.
So we have worked very hard as a community over a number of years to present a unified legislative agenda on
Yeah.
behalf of the region. Obviously, we're a business organization, so it comes from that business perspective, but it includes a lot of infrastructure projects
Okay.
that are absolutely critical to the area.
Yeah.
So we'll be going over
and
January.
thus to the state, really.
Right.
When you start looking at North-South Freeway and
North
those
Spokane
kinds of
corridor,
things.
additions to I-90, the road to Cheney, and then a number of other infrastructure projects as
Right,
well.
right.
Critical to the area. So that one's coming up again January 17th and 18th.
Wow.
This is supposed to be a shorter legislative session. And
Yeah, we
there's-
all know how that works.
Right.
Do we want to put money on it?
No,
I don't think so.
I don't think it'll go till July, but I'm not sure it'll be on time. So we do have a couple of big issues, though,
Yeah.
that do impact economic development for the region and for
Okay.
the state. So certainly we want to keep the North Spokane Corridor project on track.
Yes.
That's absolutely critical. Another one is we have a thing called the Hearst decision.
Yes.
Regarding water that does impact communities across the state. So when you're thinking about whether you can accommodate employees moving into your area, how much housing do you have? And usually the formula is you will base a certain number of people, you'll house a certain number of people within the cities in your area.
Right.
But there's also an assumption that some people will live in the unincorporated areas as
Right,
well.
right.
The Hearst decision basically says if you don't have a well that's already being utilized today and
Good
you
luck.
own property and you want to build,
Right.
good luck.
Yeah.
So it's taken a significant portion of housing, potential housing in communities across the state and made it unavailable. So it exacerbates the housing
Yes.
crunch that we have and our ability to house employees as companies are growing and expanding.
Right.
The other thing is it creates a significant tax shift. So, a region like Spokane County adopts a certain tax roll and says, this is the money that we will collect. Anytime that you lower somebody's property taxes, either because you've exempted them or you've lowered their property value,
Right.
that means you're still going to collect the same total amount. So some will pay less. That means others will pay more.
Yes, yes.
So essentially, and people who live inside city limits may not think this impacts them, but the issue is their property taxes will go up significantly unless there's a fix to the Hearst decision.
Okay.
Because if I'm one of those people that paid $100,000 for a piece of property outside city limits to build on, and now I can't build on it, I'm going to be one of the first people to the assessor's office
Saying
to
it's
say,
worth about 20.
I have open space land now
Yeah.
that's maybe worth 20.
Yeah.
And so that $80,000 worth of value
Is gonna be
gonna
made up
transfer to
somewhere else.
That's right. So Hearst decision is absolutely critical
Okay.
that they get that fixed in this coming legislative session. And then I think the other one is just, we've continued to talk about the development of talent. We've talked about,
Yes.
how important it is that people get those post-secondary certificates and degrees.
yeah.
We've mentioned before the
Yes.
Greater Minds program.
Absolutely. Great program.
But part of that means access to those higher education programs, whether it's
Okay.
the community colleges. So the Washington State Needs Grant, some of those other financial aid tools are absolutely critical to keep in place.
Be good if we weren't spending $45 million on a system for the community college, though.
The computer system?
Computer system,
yes,
yeah.
yes. And unfortunately,
Can you imagine
they're
if we
not
spent...
the first state agency to
No,
be
I
challenged
know,
on the
I know.
IT
Don't
front.
get me started. Yeah.
So, and then I think, the other one that's absolutely critical for the state of Washington is we have done a manufacturer sales tax credit. So manufacturers tend to be less mobile than other companies.
Yes.
The equipment that they purchase is expensive. We have historically allowed them a sales tax credit when they purchase that equipment and invest in the economy of the state and of this region.
So that means jobs.
That went away. And so it was passed by the legislature. It was part of the budget negotiations.
But vetoed by the governor.
Vetoed by the governor. And so hopefully we'll make another run at it so that we do get that sales tax credit.
Maybe
for
the Democrats could talk with their governor.
So perhaps because they voted for the negotiated package.
I got to go back to Hearst.
Yeah.
What are our chances of getting a good resolution to this, though?
Well, I think
because the Senate is now switched to being controlled by Democrats.
One vote margin, though.
Yeah.
And so, part of it is it's been attached to the passage of the capital budget.
Yes.
Capital budget passes on a simple majority vote, but the bonds that fund it require a supermajority vote.
Okay.
And so a lot of people said, you will never get my vote on a bond bill for the capital budget until we resolve Hearst. And so there is some leveraging that's going on.
Okay.
Some deal making at the legislature.
Do you miss all that?
No.
Okay.
No. Not at all.
You could at least pause a little bit in answering that.
So other things going. I think there was one of your first shows that you had me on.
Yeah.
We announced the governor's breaking news decision with regard to the STEP project. So today, I'd say my breaking news is the Boeing company has announced that it is going to make an announcement in 2018 for a new mid-sized aircraft. It's called the NMA project.
Okay.
I believe it's to replace the 757 airframe.
Okay.
And so they're going to be starting to shop for which community they're going to do that production in.
Okay.
And so in the next few days, you'll see Larry Crowder and myself calling for a task force here in the Spokane region.
Good.
That will be made up of economic development partners. That will be made up of municipalities, education institutions.
And we've been doing some of this with other things, so it's not like starting from scratch.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And so we know this will be a big project. We've done it in the past on the 737 MAX project.
Okay.
Certainly, there's a lot of dialogue about the Amazon project.
Right.
But we're going to be calling for a task force to start preparing our proposal for this community to present for Boeing's consideration. So that's the NMA project. And coming up in 2018, and I'm sure that is going to see more and more attention being given to it as we move forward.
Wouldn't that be terrific to get some of that here?
Absolutely. And we don't have the logistical challenges that some of the other municipalities, metropolitan areas have in just moving product from one facility to another, and doing the, on-time inventory, just-in-time inventory processing that's so prevalent in manufacturing.
We are so poised if things continue to go right.
Correct.
To really grow and make this a greater community. I don't want to say great because we are a great community.
Right.
But more jobs and all that goes with that solves a lot of the other problems when we have a lot of people working, doesn't it?
Certainly does.
Yeah.
Let's see. Other things going on. One of the things that we've been working on for quite some time is to try to make sure that we have some consensus of economic development. What does that mean?
Yes.
Throughout this region, is there a
you
plan
can talk
for
with
this
10
community?
people and you're going to get about 11 different answers.
Right. And so we contract with the area municipalities for economic development services. And so we've worked really hard to make sure that we are arriving at the same definition. I'm happy to announce that we actually have a situation now where the municipalities representing the metropolitan core are in alignment on how we're defining economic development.
Oh, nice.
So getting a vision on economic development. And so it's Liberty Lake, it's Spokane Valley, it's the city of Spokane.
Has this been announced yet?
I'm announcing it right now.
All right, another breaking news.
So Spokane County,
I love this,
Airway
Don.
Heights, Cheney, we've all agreed that when we talk about what does economic development mean,
we're all marching to the same drummer.
Right.
Yes.
So for a long time, what economic development means is recruiting businesses from the outside to come here.
Right.
And that's certainly one of the major components.
Right.
That does nothing for the businesses who are already here, though.
Yes.
And it also doesn't address the number one question that we get whenever we're in an economic development discussion, which is, talk to me about the talent that you have.
Yes.
Can I be successful as a business? Can I
Yes.
find people to hire with the specialties that I need to make my business flourish.
And that's often the case because there are companies that are coming so much with specialties that they need.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So essentially, what does economic development look like? It's really a multi-pronged approach, kind of foundational, and no matter what we do, is we need to make sure that we're really good at infrastructure, that we're really good at business climate, and that we're really good at supporting this development of talent, that people have these post-secondary certificates and degrees. Those are the foundational things. In assisting businesses, we take a look at where they are in the development cycle. And some are in the startup phase, some are in expansion, some are in retention, and some are in recruitment.
Let me tell you about startup.
Yeah. So the question is, how are we doing? Do we have programs to meet the needs of businesses no matter which cycle of development they're in that business spectrum? And so we've now
And I don't
reached a
care where
consensus
you
on
are, every business struggles.
Yes.
And needs mentors, needs advisors, and so forth. And I think we're a really good community about wanting to do that, aren't we?
I think so. I think so. So in all of these agreements that we have with the municipalities, the major components that we have all agreed to so far is that there is a component about talent development.
Good.
What are we doing with regard to education attainment?
Yes.
And it starts at the K through 12 level and continues into the working adults.
Yes.
What are we doing in public advocacy, in public policy advocacy?
Yes.
How are we advocating on behalf of businesses at the federal, state, and local level?
Right.
Critical component.
Yes.
And it's not just for business regulations and business climate, it's also for those infrastructure projects.
Yes.
Critical for growth. We're taking a look at what are we doing for existing businesses in the area of startup expansion and retention.
Yes. Okay.
And a big piece of that is how do we make sure that we provide access to additional customers, additional suppliers, and opportunities for those businesses. And then the last category then is the recruitment phase.
Yes.
And we have inbound
because everybody's
inquiries.
going out there in every community trying to bring somebody else in.
Correct.
Aren't they?
But the fastest job growth always happens with the
Locally,
existing businesses
yes.
growing and expanding, and so we try to be cognizant of that. So that's absolutely critical. But when we take a look at the recruitment, we have inbound calls
Yes.
coming from companies and from their commercial brokers.
Yes.
We have inbound inquiries coming from the Department of Commerce. We have outbound focus on targeted industries that healthcare and advanced manufacturing and aerospace, life science companies. And then we're also reaching out to site selectors who
Yes.
are those, think of them like the real estate agent, except
Yes.
it's for where do you want to move your business.
Right.
And they become kind of the filter. So many of them are located in major metropolitan areas like Charlotte, North Carolina, and New York, and Atlanta, Georgia, Los Angeles, Denver. And so when companies approach them and say, I'm thinking about a presence in the Pacific Northwest,
Yes.
we want to make sure those site selectors say, have you thought about Spokane?
Exactly.
So those are the efforts that we are trying to reach out to.
By the way, no more outbound on internet TV stations. Okay, we don't want any more competition.
Okay.
And by the way, we've been successful. We're hiring some more part-time people.
Good.
We're going to expand 40% of our studio space.
Nice.
So something must be going on that's good in the community.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's
it is.
great.
It's great for everybody, I think.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
it is. So that's a big thing. It's like I
Wow.
said, getting our community kind of built around the
Yes.
same vision when it comes to economic development and how we're investing in our resources
Great.
in those areas. And on the startup one, our Startup Spokane program,
Yes.
that is run by Megan Halsey,
Yes.
one of our staff people there.
Right.
And she was just nominated by the Small Business Administration
Oh,
at the federal
great.
level to be the Small Business Champion of the Year. So 2018
Wow.
SBA Small Business Awards competition.
Oh, we're going to have a champion in the
and
studio.
She's been nominated.
Okay.
So we'll see where it goes. This has been happening since 1963. The President of the United States issues a proclamation announcing National
fun.
Small Business Week. And so in 2018, the awards will be, the week is April 29th through May 5th.
Okay.
And they'll be holding an event at their regional office in Seattle.
Okay. Now,
to announce the winners.
is the Agora Awards open yet to start nominating? Is that after the first year?
So that's one we actually discontinued.
Oh, okay.
On that one, and so
Okay.
it was one that you got to take a look at programs and are
Yes,
they
you can only
growing
do
over
so many-
time
yep,
or are they
yep,
are they reducing in time? And unfortunately, that was
Okay.
one that just was kind of losing some of its momentum.
Well, it had a run of how many years, though? 15 years or
many
something like
years,
that?
yes.
Yeah, I know. I
Yes.
love putting you on the spot. But I think it was something like 15 or 17 years.
Right.
So, and that makes sense because there are, let's move on to the next thing that helps our community. Well, that's great. Todd, anything else?
No, I think the other stuff I think everybody's looking at, which is, obviously the tax reform bill is making national news.
Yes. Did you see what AT&T is going to do?
I have not seen that.
They're going to give a $1,000 bonus to all 200,000 of their employees, and they're going to invest in 2018, I believe it is, $1 billion.
Okay.
So that's not bad for helping grow the economy.
Not bad at all.
Yeah.
Well, we do know that whenever you have these big omnibus pieces of legislation, it is very difficult to sort through all the minutia, all the detail that's in these to understand how they will impact everyone. But I certainly recognize that the United States has long had one of the highest corporate tax rates of anywhere in the world. And when you take a look at why are companies relocating outside the country and changing their base of operation,
it comes down to dollars and cents.
And I mean, you don't have to sit through many MBA programs to learn. No. It's like, so what are some of the disincentives for companies to be in the United States? And why do we see the flee? And part of that is taxed at a higher rate than almost any other country in the world.
Well, even for small business like ours, it's going to allow us to write off some of the equipment and those kinds of things in a shorter period of time, so we can invest more and so forth. So I think they say it's only going to help the big companies, as well as the big companies and the wealthy individuals that pay the large taxes too.
Right.
So, but the rest of us are trying to build a small business and so forth. It's going to help us.
Right.
So, and that's bottom line, because we can bring in more people and do more programs and congratulations. Great agenda, Todd.
Yes,
Thank
lots
you.
of stuff going on.
And you're going to be back in January.
I'll be back in January. In January, we're probably going to be talking a lot about education.
Yes.
So we have school bonds and levies coming up early this spring.
Yes.
And again, education attainment is a major piece. It's the number one question we get in economic development is what does our future workforce look like, and what are you doing to develop that? And so like I said, we've got some great programs and partnerships that we do with the K through 12 system.
Great.
All the 13 school superintendents participate with GSI. A number of them sit on our board.
Good.
And we're working very closely with the higher education community as well.
Well, number one, Merry Christmas to you and your staff over there, and to everybody, and we'll look forward to seeing you in January.
Sounds great.
All right, with more good news and more breaking news, of course.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you very much,
All right.
Todd. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with the guys from STCU after this.
Last year alone, Avista customers saved over 53 million kilowatt hours of energy. Enough to power more than 4,000 homes for an entire year. Way to save, everyone. Way to save. Find your way to save at avistautilities.com.
See you tomorrow night, and thanks again for taking care of the painting.
I got this.
Bye.
Weekends are made for painting. Let the experts at Rada Paint take care of you.
Hi. This looks amazing.
Rada Paint, over 80 years of quality, tradition, and trust. Find it in every can.
To find the right home for you, you'll work with your realtor to compare the properties you're interested in, analyze the market, and figure out a reasonable offer price. And now, here you are, ready to make an offer. Yay, you! Here's how it works. First, you'll complete an offer sheet which your realtor will then present to the owner. Sometimes, a nice note to the owner can help your offer stand out. Butter them up. Tell them how much you love their garden, that it reminds you of gardening with your grandmother as a child. Do not mention you're gonna bulldoze it and put in a pool. The owner may accept the offer, reject it, or counter. It's important to be in close contact with your realtor during the negotiation process so any changes can be reviewed. Your realtor is like your consigliere, and that makes you the Don. Once your offer is finally accepted, the there are usually some contingencies that must be met in order to keep the contract alive. Inspections are totally common in real estate transactions. They include termite checks, surveys to determine boundaries, appraisals to determine value for lenders, title reviews, and structural inspections. This stuff is mind-numbingly fascinating. But you know what's even more fascinating? Actually getting your new house.
Welcome back to Spokane Talks Live, and it's really kind of a fun pleasure because here at STCU, STO, all the S's here, STO, our credit union that we do financial things with is STCU, so we're pleased to say that, and they've been a partner with us for about 2.5 years. Lance jumped in right early when we were just forming and everything else, and we appreciate the support. But I'm pleased to have the outgoing last day tomorrow, right, is Tom Johnson, who has been the 4th president. Can you believe this? In 83 years, the 4th president of STCU, and Ezra Eckhard. Did I say it close to being right?
It's good enough.
Good enough. You know, Tom, you and I have easy names, okay?
Yeah.
All right. We were laughing today with Todd Milkey and then with Craig Meidel and all of the crazy names, and you fit that bill. But Tom, you and I, we just
pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward. 5th president. How do you feel? I got to ask you first. How do you feel with that kind of legacy, being only the 5th president? Do you feel the responsibility?
Oh, absolutely. And one of the things that we're working for with the management team is how we build a bridge to the 2nd century for the organization.
Yes.
And
because that's going to come up mighty fast, isn't it?
Yes. And time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
That's what one of the things that Thomas shared with me. But the fact that the organization has already stood the test of time, and that we've got such a rich foundation and history here in Spokane, starting at Lewis and Clark High School.
Yes.
I think that I do feel a sense of responsibility to work with the leadership team to set us up for success.
Tom, I got to ask you, now how long have you been there? 8 years?
Just completing 7 years
7
as
years.
CEO.
Okay.
But,
seems like 8, but I know.
I actually have a much longer relationship. It's been about 23 years that I've been connected with STCU.
Okay.
First as a board member, then on the management team, and these last 7 years as CEO.
What has been, what if you were to list one or two things that you're most proud of in the last 7 years, what has it been?
Well, it's interesting you asked that. I just was working on a message that I'll be sending the staff tomorrow as I walk out the door.
Okay, so don't watch this, any STCU members.
The thing that I will say to the team is what I'm most proud of is just the relationships and the trust that we have in each other as employees at STCU.
Yes.
And we work really well together. We work hard together. But what happens is when we
you have fun together.
We have fun together. But when we trust each other and we work hard, that shows.
Yeah.
And when our members walk into our branch or access our service online, they're aware of that. They see that. They feel that. And when you trust the person that you walk into and see in the Valley branch, that translates, and you have a relationship with them.
Yeah.
If you can trust that person, you say to yourself, I think I could probably trust this organization.
Yeah,
and our success is so critically hinged to trust. People trust us, and we've been very successful and have a great brand because of that trust factor.
Yeah.
So really for me, it's all about our people,
Yes.
our relationships
Yes.
with each other, and our relationships with our members.
Yeah, I'll have to tell you though, when I drive through, only when I get blocked by another car, if I'm out on the edge, do they ever ask to be sure who I am. But they know me. I'm sure they roll their eyes. That it's Kent again. But I mean, but there is that. And there's when I walk into the branch, there are people there. If they're not busy, can I help you? Even before you get a chance to kind of go sign up and be assigned to somebody. They're all friends.
Yeah.
And I see that. And you're right. I see that they all enjoy what they're doing, and that they're almost having too much fun, But But
maybe he was at the staff meeting.
Well, the thing is, we're all in it together. We're all we all own this,
and that's what a
enterprise.
cooperative
It's a
is, isn't it?
Right. It's a financial co-op.
And I don't think people really understand all of that. And you've gone from a transformation over the last decade of being the Spokane Teachers Credit Union to be STCU,
Right.
to be more encompassing in terms of the community and so forth. I think even reaching out to more businesses to have those accounts and so forth. Ezra, I've got to ask you, why would you leave a bank and come to a cooperative, a credit union, and why STCU?
That answer is very easy. In that,
try to make some things easy.
The sort of the brand promise of STCU is here for good.
Yes.
And I'm from Spokane. My family is from Spokane. We've been here for a number of generations. And inside of that, I'm deeply committed to the community.
Okay.
And the mission and vision and values
Just
of
fits
STCU line up perfectly for me. And so I feel like I don't have to skip a step as I join the rest of the organization. And there is a learning curve for me.
Oh, of course. They're always going, I don't care where you go.
Yeah. And learning just about the history and about the things that we do well and how I can
help. Names.
650 new names.
Right.
Is that all? 650?
650.
Okay, so you have 649 figured out, right?
I might have 642 figured
okay.
out.
That is tough, though, isn't it? Until you've really sat down or really worked with somebody. You know the face. I know you, but I don't know you. And that's probably difficult because I'm guessing from your personality here that you want to know them.
Oh, absolutely. And this is one of the great handoffs that Tom has provided me with. We went to each of our 21 current locations. Tom's introduced me to many of the community leaders that I had not met previously. We've spent time with the commercial lending teams and with a number of the functional departments. And we do have a great benefit that about 400 of our employees are at our central location in Liberty Lake. So it's easy to get around and meet people there. And I try to eat lunch in the cafeteria. And but I do want to walk a mile in people's shoes and sort of understand how all the components of the credit union work.
Yeah, it's one thing to do that, and it's another just to be, when we've all seen this in corporate America, be stuck in the corner office and not be part of the team. And I know you've been out and have really set a legacy of being involved in the community as well as the STCU community as well.
Right, thanks.
Yeah. So, all right, tomorrow is the last day. Are you going to have some fun?
Yeah, well, my wife and I will continue to be in Spokane. We have 3 adult children. Two are not in Spokane, but one in Seattle, one in Eugene.
Okay.
But we have a son and family.
That's better than
here.
like New York or somewhere, isn't it? Yeah.
Right. We have one son and family here in Spokane, so we have the blessing of having 3 grandchildren, pretty close. So we'll be spending more time with all those grandkids, and this will give us a time to travel a little bit more and see them a little more often and regularly. Going to take a little time and take a trip to a nice warm place and see some sunshine.
Now you have something coming up, next October, don't you?
Yes.
Community. You just aren't getting away from the community responsibilities, are you?
No, it's good work that we do in the community. So I am the chair-elect for Greater Spokane Incorporated, and will be assuming that role as chair next fall. And so it'll keep me busy and out from underneath my wife's feet at home.
Let me tell you about that. My wife keeps saying, do you have to spend so much time at the station and all that? And I said, well, I could walk away. Well, no, I don't want you to do that either. She doesn't want me home 24/7 either. So, but Tom, the best thing, and you can relate to this, is the time that we can spend with our grandkids.
Right.
And I tell people, and the folks that are close to my age and older get it when I say, we're going to meet like at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I said, fine, we'll do that. However, it's always subject to that one call to go pick up a grandchild. Okay, and Larry Soren, you probably both know Larry. Right. I had to call him one day on my way to pick up my grandson and said, sorry, I have to take action here. Yeah. I can't meet you this afternoon.
Right.
And bless his heart, he said, I get it, Ken.
Yeah.
And I think, I think that's part of, I see that with STCU in allowing people to have some flexibility to spend time with family and so forth. I look back to 20, 25 years ago, and it was kind of like all work, and you figure out how you're going to do it, and to be a little more friendly with our employees and what they face.
Yeah.
So I wish you the best.
Thank you.
And
very
I'm
much.
sure in your role come October, you're going to be over here once in a while too.
Probably.
Probably.
Yeah, look forward to that.
All right,
sharing
great.
some of the current events.
Great. And Ezra, I got to ask you, what's the first thing on your agenda as you officially take over? Because you don't do that till the 1st, officially, right?
Till the 1st, correct.
Right.
Yes.
So you can haul him back in from Hawaii or wherever he's going to go to answer questions and solve problems, right?
We definitely there's a string.
Yeah.
That we have. It's kind of like one of those can phones.
Yeah, it's obvious that the two of you have worked together, and this transition has really been a good one. So, but what's on your agenda? What was the number one thing that you really want to accomplish?
Right out of the gate is being the voice of the strategy for the organization with the leadership team.
Yeah.
And we've spent a fair chunk of time here over the last couple of weeks in dissecting and understanding what we need to do to continue to be successful in 2018. And clearly, the economy is changing. We see interest rates that are starting to rise.
Right.
We see healthy unemployment rates, and we're seeing
more jobs created and everything else.
More jobs created, and so we're entering into a new phase for the economy, and so positioning STCU to be a solution provider for our members.
Right.
We're going to continue to focus around our 4 key actions for 2018, expanding our mortgage lending platform.
Okay.
We will be geographically expanding to a nearby market, and maybe we'll come back and talk to you about that down the road.
Okay, yes.
And then we're building out the member experience and member customization and personalization.
Okay.
And then our 4th piece is really rounding out our business offering.
Okay.
And right now we have about $300 million of business loans on our balance sheet, but there's plenty of opportunity for us to continue to be a strong solution provider, both for individuals and for business members in the community. And we look forward to growing.
And because it's the individuals and the small businesses especially that are creating the jobs. And it's the hardest thing that we do is to come up with the capital and feel like someone's got your back and someone's there to help you and so forth. So that's a great objective to have as you move into that.
Well, and as you've experienced firsthand, we have great offerings for businesses. Right now we're opening up about 200 business accounts every month.
Wow.
And so that is going to be one of our channels for growth.
Yeah.
We've done a great job serving the community, 175,000 members here in the Spokane, Coeur d'Alene market.
Wow. Okay.
Yep. And so I think we've got great momentum behind us, but that's a reflection of the great people we have on our team, and building out this concept of engaged employees who create engaged members who help us engage in the community.
It's all up to our employees when it comes down to it. I don't care how great the three of us are in an organization. If we don't have the employees that will tackle the issues and do a lot of things on their own and feel like they're comfortable enough to do that, then great things happen. Well, I want to wish both of you a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you, Ken.
Best to you in your travels.
Thank you.
And we'll see you, if not in October, but before October, okay? You're welcome here anytime.
Okay.
And when you're ready to make some announcements, we'll have you back. And again, I want to thank you and through Lance Kissler for really stepping up to this crazy new thing that we started 2.5 years ago. And this vision I have, and you probably know who Wayne Williams is.
Absolutely.
It was his idea to get away from over-the-air radio and so forth and to do this. And he comes back about every 6 months to come in and is pleased of our progress, and we'll be expanding and a number of other things here as we move into the new year. And it's great to have a partner like STCU, not only in sponsoring some of our programs, but to be there as our financial partner as well. We appreciate that. And for you watching, thank you very much, and have a great Christmas and New Year's. We'll see you on this program on January 3rd, I think it is. See you then. Take care.
Spokane Talks Live is produced in Spokane, Washington by Spokane Talks Online LLC, which is solely responsible for its content. To recommend a guest or topic, or to see this program again, please visit our website, SpokaneTalksOnline.com. Spokane Talks Live is brought to you by our friends at Homes for You and Breakthrough Incorporated. Join us next Wednesday, noon, for another nourishing conversation on Spokane Talks Live.